Hey everybody, I'm Den Haring. Welcome back to my channel, Fish Den 365, and today we're going to talk about how to go about catching fish in unfamiliar water. And it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario. Okay, so as most of you know who follow my channel, I recently was in Knoxville, Tennessee, celebrating my anniversary with my wife, Lisa, and we got to do a little bit of fishing down there. And that's the impetus for this video. So when it comes to fishing unfamiliar waters, and in this case we were near Knoxville, so we fished Fort Loudoun Lake, which is just outside of Knoxville. And, you know, it's a big lake. At least in Pennsylvania standards, it's over 14,000 acres. It's like 14,600 acres, something like that. Bigger than any completely within Pennsylvania, the state of Pennsylvania lake, by quite a margin. And so, you know, how do you go about finding fish? And what should you do? What should your approach be to find them? Conventional wisdom would say that what you do is you plan on fishing a number of different areas of the lake and you fish fast. You power fish. You throw something that you can cover water with. A crankbait, a lipless crankbait, a spinner bait, a buzz bait, something that you can cover a lot of water. Maybe a swim jig or a swim bait. These are all baits that you can cover water with. And then the idea is you keep searching and looking until you find a group of fish or you find a pattern, and then you repeat that. You slow down and begin to milk those areas more and determine what the pattern, fine tune the pattern if there is one. There's two approaches there. There's pattern fishing, which you try and fine tune so you can catch more and more in a most efficient way. Or sometimes lakes are not as patternable as others, and so there you're looking for groups of fish and figuring out ways to catch them. But there's one huge determining factor that makes my mind up about the approach that I'm going to take, and that's the amount of time you have. If you don't have a lot of time, then that search and destroy method at finding fish, you could fail because you don't have enough time to look at all the different places in the lake, try different techniques, look for different patterns. And so that's kind of the situation I found myself in. We planned this trip months ahead of time, but when it got down to it, we realized that there was going to be some bad weather. It looked like we're going to get storms almost every day of the week, thunderstorms and showers. And originally I was planning on hauling my boat down there and fishing a few days here and there with Lisa and trying to do that methodology of finding the fish and zeroing in on them. But when I realized that the weather was going to be like it was, and Lisa's not really into raining and fishing, and neither am I for most part, I decided not to take the boat and that I would fish from shore, and if we had the opportunity, we could rent a boat and do some fishing that way. So we got down there, and the next day the weather was decent during the afternoon, so we rented a pontoon boat. So with that pontoon boat, I just looked for objects and cover to throw this to. This is a wacky jig, and I have a big TRD, a Z-Man big TRD on this thing, on a 1/16 ounce wacky jig, and it was a little bit frustrating because I was getting bites on it, but I couldn't get any of the fish to the boat. I wasn't hooking them, or they would get off partway to the boat. So, and that was for the afternoon, and we were fishing a particular creek arm that had some deep walls to it. It was pretty deep water, not a lot of flats, and so I just was picking out a couple of boat docks and a couple of pieces of wood, rock, some different cover like that to fish. Later that evening, we had a little bit of rain, and then it settled down, so we went to a completely different part of the lake. We went to one of the ends of the lake where the water was much more shallow, and we had about a half an hour to fish before dark. And so when we got down there, I noticed there was a lot of these little bait fish. I don't know if they were little shad, but they were tiny, and they were flipping out of the water, and every now and then a bass would come and bust them. They were actually pushing them to the bank. So I chose this Rico popper, and I caught a couple of small largemouths on the popper, but at least I got something going with the top water. few days later, we found ourselves eating at a great restaurant that I would recommend. It's called the Lakeside Tavern, and it's a really nice restaurant. The food was fantastic, and 3 sides of this tavern look out over the lake because the lake kind of bends around the tavern. So it's got excellent views and really good food. I recommend it. And there was a storm that night too, but the storm kind of let up, and again, we had about a half an hour before the end of the evening, and we went down, just down from where the restaurant is, found some shallow area there, and I started throwing a fluke. This is a scamper rig. I was throwing a fluke like this one, except it was a white one, and it's the Super Fluke Junior, and I caught a decent smallmouth throwing this out there in that area. One of the things that I really wanted to do during this trip, because I had the opportunity to do so, was catch some white bass. I never caught a white bass. There's no real opportunity for them here in Pennsylvania. There's white perch, which are very similar, but white bass, I don't think they're swimming in any of the waters that I'm fishing. And so, but there's a lot of them in Fort Loudoun. And so here's another thing. Time is limited. How do I can go out, find that school and catch a ton of them, I'm sure of it, but it could take hours before I find them, and I'd have to have the right electronics to be looking for them, or get lucky and hope that they come up to the surface and start busting bait. Well, there's another way you can go about this. Anytime you have a lake that's on a river system, Fort Loudoun is on the Tennessee River, there's a whole chain of lakes on the Tennessee River, starting with Fort Loudoun, then Watts Bar, and then Chickamauga. It's a huge river system. There's giant tail races, and that's one of the secrets that I want to get through to you today. Anytime you have a big system like that, a big lake, and you have a tail race, this is below the dam, fishing right below the dam, or just slightly back down from the dam, take advantage of it, because everything goes there. Everything's swimming in there. In this particular case, there's paddlefish, stripers, smallmouth, largemouth, catfish of all species, white bass, a galore as well. And so I was smart. We had the one morning, Thursday morning, Lisa and I decided we were going to go to Lenoir City, and that's real close to below the dam. We thought, let's take a look down there and see if there's places to fish from shore. And fortunately, there was plenty of room to fish from shore down there. The water wasn't very high, and there was good current. So I thought, well, let's go down. And I started to throw this karashi. I threw some other baits too, but it was the karashi that scored for me. I caught some of these white bass. Take a look here. Oh, here's one. Got something on. I don't know what it is. I can't see him. Oh, white bass. My first white. Nice. Fell for the karashi. I don't know how I'm gonna unhook them though. Come here, buddy. Oh, boy, he wanted it. Gotta get my pliers out, and it's in the wrong pocket. All right. Ooh, here's another one. This is a bigger one. Got another one on, folks. Getting them on the karashi out here behind Fort Loudoun Dam. This looks like another white, maybe a little bigger than the last one. They pull good on this light bait finesse gear. Makes it fun. Here he comes. He grabbed it good too. Oh, he really wanted it. He's got it way down his mouth. All right, you have to be careful. Oh, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. Yeah. Very nice. Here's one. Same thing. Yep. He's trying to get down to the bottom on me. Got another one on, folks, here. Another white. He was probably the one that was just feeding out here. He's fighting good. Taking drag. I have him hooked funny, that's why. That's why. He's hooked funny. He tried to get it on the bottom on me. Yeah. He might come off. That's okay if he does. Get him in here. Number 3 on the Karashi. I think I'm becoming a believer in this bait. Get a look at this one. Nice bait. I mean, nice fish. This is a typical white bass. In the tail race, they're thinner because they're always fighting that current. Oh, it got me wet. Number 3 on the Karashi. Just fishing it real slow out there. Letting it drift basically, and they're eating it on the, you jig it if you snap it a few times and then just let it sit and they crutch it. So this really upped my confidence fishing this bait. This thing is a killer, and those white bass really seem to want it. They ate it very well. I can't wait to fish this for smallmouths and other circumstances in the near future. But there's always that opportunity to catch fish and to find what is in the system in those tail races. Everything conjugates there. If they're swimming upstream, they can't go any further because the dam is the obstruction. But there's also current there that's flowing out of that dam, and that creates feeding lanes. There's all these skipback herring and all kinds of bait down in there. Everything's in there feeding. And so you can catch multi-species there real easy, especially if you have a boat. Even from shore, you got a good opportunity for stripers, white bass, smallmouths, anything that swims down there. So, you know, highly recommend when you're in a system like that, go check out the tail race of the dam, because you know there's going to be fish there. If you're not sure if you can find them or not, I can tell you they're going to be there. Whether or not you catch them or not, it's another story, but at least you know they're there. That's the first part of the equation. You can't catch a fish where there are none. If you know they're there, at least you know you have that shot at catching them. And that was the major point that I wanted to get across in this video when it came to big, large dams like the one we fished in Tennessee. We had a great time there. I hope I can get down there again sometime. I really like the area. We got to see the Great Smoky Mountains, and it was just a really pleasant trip. Well, that's it for this video, but keep it tuned here. Soon we'll be out there night fishing for striper, and looking forward to showing you that and teaching you all about how to go about doing that in the area of waters that I like to fish. And if you'd like to see a video about a particular lure that I knew would really catch them well, take a look at this one right here. It's going to come into play during the night fishing, I'm sure. Until next time, hope to see you on the water. As always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.